The Ukrainian military said that it destroyed a Russian command post in the southern region of Kherson, which has been largely under Russian control since the early days of the war. The intelligence agency of the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said in a statement that the Russian command center was located near a location of active clashes between the two forces, and two high-ranking Russian officers were present at the time of the strike. The claim could not be independently verified, and there was no immediate comment from Russia's military, which rarely acknowledges battlefield setbacks. In a separate statement, Oleksiy Arestovich, a former Ukrainian military intelligence officer who is now an advisor to the Ukrainian president's office, said that about 50 senior Russian officers were in the command center at the time of the attack. "Their fate is unknown, but I think it must be miserable," he said in an interview with a well-known Russian human rights activist. The Ukrainian military claimed later that 2 Russian generals were killed and another critically injured and had to be evacuated. While fighting is raging in eastern Ukraine, Russia has been seeking to solidify its control in the south. The Black Sea port city of Kherson was the first major urban center to fall to Russian forces after their invasion. Situated just north of the Russia-annexed Crimean Peninsula, Kherson has been critical in Moscow's broader effort to control territory in the south. It is a vital link in Russia's logistical chain stretching to Crimea, allowing for the movement of heavy artillery and equipment into southern Ukraine by rail. In the first weeks of the war, Russia used Kherson as a springboard in its push toward Odessa. That offensive that was ultimately halted by stiff Ukrainian resistance in the city of Mykolaiv. After stopping the Russian advance, the Ukrainians staged several counterattacks and have reclaimed some villages in the region, but Russia has been fortifying its positions. President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine and other officials in the government have claimed that Russia is preparing to conduct a referendum to create a Kherson People's Republic. Moscow used a similar tactic with a disputed referendum in Crimea, which it invaded in 2015 and subsequently annexed. "I want to say straight away, any Kherson People's Republics are not going to fly," Mr. Zelensky said earlier this week. Even as heavy artillery, drones, tanks, and ammunition pour in, the Ukrainians say Russian forces are probing for weak spots along a 300-mile eastern front. So far, military analysts say Russia has not made any significant territorial gains since it announced its renewed offensive in the region. After months of begging and shaming allies around the world to provide his nation with heavy weapons, President Volodymyr Zelensky said in an overnight address Saturday that his pleas were finally being answered and his country was increasingly better able to defend itself. "We will be able to show the occupiers that the day when they will be forced to leave Ukraine is approaching," he said. That vow of confidence came hours before Russian missiles struck residential and military buildings in the Black Sea port of Odessa. In another sign, Moscow still threatens more than the eastern Donbass region, its stated territorial objective. At least 6 people were killed, according to local officials, who said that the death toll was expected to rise. It was the first time that a missile has struck Odessa since early April and came a day after a Russian general said that Moscow was intent on controlling all of southern Ukraine. While Russia has failed to make any significant territorial gains in the east, the Ukrainian Defense Intelligence Agency warned that Russian forces are trying to identify the Ukrainian military's most vulnerable points in order to launch a large-scale offensive. The Russians continue to pound military and civilian targets along the 300-mile-long front line, even as the Ukrainian military claimed to have repulsed multiple Russian thrusts and staged counterattacks to reclaim Russian-occupied communities.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.